You could tell late in the game the Bears didn't trust Caleb Williams. You probably watched the Vikings and Bears game like I did today. And I don't know. I just sometimes I watch bad football and it's fun because it's just like ugly and it's tough. Today's bad football between the Vikings and Bears was not fun. It was ugly, and it was two young quarterbacks fighting for their theoretical lives against two really good defensive coordinators in Brian Flores and Dennis Allen. And 19-17 is your final score. Bears, they're 7-3. Started the year 0-2. That means they won 7 of their last 8. And I don't want to talk about the game in and of itself. I really just want to talk about these two quarterbacks. JJ McCarthy isn't the guy in Minnesota. Just go ahead and move on. He's not it. I get that he's had a couple nice fourth quarter throws against the Bears, and that's great. But everything else has been terrible. JJ McCarthy is only completing 53% of his passes. That is Anthony Richardson levels of terrible. Now, it's a little different because Anthony Richardson can't make the layups, but balls over 10 yards he was pretty good on. Whereas McCarthy completes everything underneath, but anything over 10 yards down the field is an adventure, to say the least. JJ McCarthy's success rate on the year is only 36%. Success rate basically tracks your ability to stay on schedule. He's terrible at that. He can't complete a pass more than 10 yards down the field, and it's his biggest issue. It's his biggest issue. Now, look, he can hit all the layups, and that's, a decent place to start, I guess. But, if it's not, a short slant route or hitting Aaron Jones in the flat, it's probably falling incomplete. And you have to be able to hit big plays in the NFL, at least occasionally. Okay, his throws, JJ McCarthy's throws, are only on target 58% of the time. He has a bad throw percentage of 24%, which means a quarter of his throws are deemed just completely uncatchable, way off target. He is consistently inaccurate, especially down the field. And you can live with some misses if you can hit big plays. For example, if you go back to the Colts last year, they were, I think, 11th in the NFL in points per game, even with Anthony Richardson being their quarterback for most of the year. That's because even though Anthony Richardson missed a lot of those underneath throws, when you're able to pick up, a 30-yard chunk play, you're probably going to score points. That's just kind of how it works. You can track it yourself. The Lions score a bunch of points because they hit a bunch of chunk plays. The Bears, Caleb Williams, he misses some easy throws here and there, but after he misses one, he'll find Rome Odunze for 27 yards down the field. And when you're starting at, your own 35 now, which seems to be where every team starts their possessions now, when you're starting there and you hit a big play, you're immediately in field goal range. And JJ McCarthy isn't allowing for the Vikings to have those cheap points happen to them. And maybe he'll figure it out. I don't think that he will because, again, it just looks terrible. And you're playing for Kevin O'Connell, who, every quarterback seems to thrive under Kevin O'Connell. Every quarterback he touches turns to gold with the exception of JJ McCarthy. And you're doing it behind a pretty good offensive line. And Aaron Jones isn't what he was, but he's a solid running back. And then you got the best receiver in football. I like Jordan Addison. TJ Hawkinson's one of the better receiving tight ends in football. There is no shortage of support around you, and you can't figure it out. I would move on because it looks terrible. Now, Caleb Williams, the other young quarterback in this game, he didn't look much better. Both guys were 16 to 32. The difference in the game, he hit on more big plays. He also used his legs a little more efficiently than JJ McCarthy did. His elusiveness is just, it's the best part of his game. It's incredible to watch him spin out of sacks and then take off for 8 yards. I mean, it is just bizarre, right? But the difference between him and JJ today wasn't just, his ability to break out of some of these negative plays, but he has a real ability to push the ball down the field, right? Like the Bears had more chunk passing plays than the Vikings did. That was the difference in the game. Now, again, I kind of give Caleb Williams a bit of a pass because he's playing against Brian Flores. You can certainly apply the same logic to JJ McCarthy, with the exception that every game I've seen JJ McCarthy play, he's had the same issues. So the big chunk plays from the passing, the Bears ran the football a little bit better than Minnesota did. That was the difference in the game. However, I do want to bring this up. You could tell late in the game the Bears didn't trust Caleb Williams. The Bears have, the big kickoff return after JJ McCarthy completes a pass over 10 yards down the field where he finds Jordan Addison in the end zone to give them that, 17-16 lead. They kick it off. Big return by the Bears. And then they ran the football 3 times in a row and set up Santos on a 48-yard field goal that eventually won them the game. The best quarterbacks in the NFL get to throw the football in that spot. Because, look, these are NFL kickers, and a 48-yard kicker in a or a 48-yard field goal for a kicker in a dome is not a big deal. But you would still rather that kick come from 37 yards as opposed to 48. And the Bears didn't even give Caleb Williams the opportunity to complete like a 10-yard pass to make that a possibility. And I think part of that is because they're playing the Vikings, who have a good, tough defense. Brian Flores throwing all the exotic looks out there. I think the other part of it is Ben Johnson still doesn't fully trust Caleb Williams. But that being said, it's year 2 for Caleb, so there's time for him to kind of develop and earn that trust. He'd had a rough day, so I get it. I just found it interesting that they didn't really let him throw the ball to make the kick easier for Santos. He made it, so it's not a big deal. If he'd missed it, everything I just talked about with Caleb Williams would be leading ESPN today. But they won, so it's not going to. They're 7-3. They're a good football team. I don't think they're a great one. But look, their schedule is not tough. Like, they're going to play Pittsburgh next week, and it doesn't look like Aaron Rodgers is going to play in that one. And then they're at the Eagles. They're not winning that one. They're at the Packers. Probably not winning that one. And then they get the Browns, the Packers again, the 49ers, and the Lions. So the Bears are going to make the playoffs. They're going to win probably 11 games, if I had to guess. And that should be enough for them to make the playoffs. And we'll kind of see what happens from there. But I still don't think that the Bears fully trust Caleb Williams. And that's okay. Again, year 2, new system. He'll be fine.